Zach had always been obsessed with the abandoned Waverly Hills Sanatorium Hospital, but he had never dared to enter the place until one fateful night. It was a dare from his friends, a challenge to explore the hospital alone and come back with proof of his bravery. As he stepped inside, he was immediately struck by the eerie silence that filled the air. The dimly lit corridors were filled with shadows, and he could hear the rustling of something moving in the darkness. But he refused to be afraid, and he pressed on, determined to prove his courage. As he made his way through the hospital, Zach began to notice strange things happening around him. Doors that had been locked suddenly swung open, and he heard footsteps echoing through the empty halls. But he brushed it off as his imagination, telling himself that it was just his nerves playing tricks on him. Then, he came to a room that was filled with strange symbols and artifacts. As he looked around, he felt a cold chill run down his spine. He could feel a presence in the room, something dark and malevolent that was watching him from the shadows. Suddenly, the room began to spin, and Zach felt himself falling into a deep abyss. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a strange world, a place of darkness and terror. For what felt like hours, Zach wandered through this strange world, trying to find his way back to the hospital. Finally, he came to a strange portal that seemed to lead back to his own world. With a burst of courage, he stepped through the portal and found himself back in the hospital. But things were not as they seemed. The hospital was now filled with an otherworldly darkness that seemed to be alive. The shadows writhed and twisted, and Zach could hear whispers in the air, voices that seemed to be speaking to him from beyond the grave. As he tried to make his way back to the entrance, Zach encountered all manner of horrors. Ghostly apparitions floated through the air, their faces twisted in agony. Demonic creatures lurked in the shadows, their eyes glowing with an unholy light. Zach tried to run, but the darkness seemed to be closing in on him, suffocating him with its malevolent presence. He could feel his mind slipping away, consumed by the madness that lurked in the hospital. Finally, he came to a room filled with strange symbols and artifacts. As he looked around, he realized that he had been there before, in the other world. He could feel the presence of something dark and malevolent, something that was watching him from the shadows. With a burst of courage, Zach stepped forward. He could feel the darkness recoiling from him. Suddenly, the room began to shake, and a blinding light filled the air. When Zach opened his eyes, he found himself back outside the hospital, the darkness and terror gone. But he knew that he would never forget what he had seen and experienced in that place.
The memory of the horrors that lurked in the hospital would haunt him for the rest of his days, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beyond the edge of the world.